This video has been made by Sterilox Technologies International to be a training aid for our customers. The aim of the video is to give the customers a quick reference to parts of the training process in order to refresh knowledge on the trained subjects or as a reminder of the correct procedures needed to fulfill a task. Midigen. The Midigen is a compact Sterilox generator. Whenever you need to carry out routine maintenance or intervention when using the Midigen, you must first look in your supplier user manual and find the relevant section for your guidance until you are sure you are confident and knowledgeable to complete the task without reference. The Midigen will inform you when it needs to have salt added to the Sterilox generation process by a message appearing on the panel. You should then add one 3 kilogram bag of salt that is supplied by Sterilox Technologies for this purpose. The salt is granular and free-flowing. Open the bag carefully and pour the salt into the chute, taking care not to spill salt onto the floor. Once you have added the salt, then you will press F2 on the panel in order to confirm that salt has been added. The Midigen will then proceed to generate the Sterilox production. The only other routine intervention required for the Midigen is the replacing of the Polymax container. This container holds the anti-corrosive liquid used to protect the internal parts of the generator. The replacement of the Polymax is a simple cap removal and replacement to the external bottle that stands at the side or back of the Midigen. Application of the e-wipe. You should firstly visually inspect your endoscope to ensure that the surface is in good condition and undamaged. If any damage is seen, the endoscope should not be wiped and you should phone either the endoscope technician or your area clinical advisor for advice. If you are happy that the endoscope is undamaged, then you can commence wiping. Firstly, check that you have the correct wipe for the task. The e-wipe is the proprietary name for the endoscope protection wipe supplied by Sterilox Technologies. The SPS wipe was the forerunner of the e-wipe and will be phased out from use. The main difference is that the e-wipe is gamma irradiated, so therefore sterile. Firstly, put on a pair of gloves. These can be any type that you have available. Gently rub the pouch between your hands and then open. Start by applying the wipe under the boot on the light guide insertion tube using one circular movement. Then continue to wipe the complete length of the tube in a straight downwards wipe, finishing off just above the distal end bending section where once more you will apply using one circular movement. Turn the wipe over in your hand and then continue to use the same application technique to apply the wipe from below the boot on the control head junction to below the boot at the light post end. You must then wait a minimum of 10 minutes before commencing the polishing part of the procedure. Hospital departments using the e-wipe system say that they find it convenient to wipe at the end of the day and polish of the wipe the morning before commencing their next planned list. Please refer to your e-wipe poster and application instructions for a complete guide to the application of the wipe. Water softener unit. The water softener is an essential prerequisite for Sterilox production and is used in conjunction with the Sterilox generators. The salt level in the water softener should be checked daily and salt added when necessary. When removing the lid of the water softener, you will see this round plastic disc attached to the lid. This is the salt level alarm. If your salt level does become too low, the unit will give out an audible alarm to alert you to add salt. However, this alarm is specific to this type of water softener and may differ depending on the model you have. This is the salt that you must use in the water softener. You will notice that it is in tablet form, not granular, as in the generators. The tablet salt must only ever be used in your water softener. The 2501 generator. The key for your 2501 generator should always be kept on the top of the machine at the right-hand side. Use the key to open the front panel. The Polymax container is inside this panel. This container holds the anti-corrosive liquid used to protect the internal parts of the generator. Replacement of the Polymax is a simple cap removal and replacement. The generator will give you an audible alarm and a message on the display panel when the Polymax needs changing. You must always practice good handling and lifting techniques when carrying out the task of replacing the bottle. When you have replaced with a fresh container, use the cap from the new container to seal the finished container for disposal. Dispose of the empty Polymax bottle according to your hospital policy. This is usually in contaminated waste. When the 2501 alarm sounds and the message on the display screen tells you that the generator needs salt added, firstly, always check that the salt grill is clean and clear to allow unobstructed flow of salt into the tank. You should then add 2 6-kilogram bags of salt that is supplied by Sterilox Technologies for this purpose. The salt is granular and free-flowing. Open the bag carefully and pour the salt into the chute, taking care not to spill salt onto the floor. Do not cancel the alarm on the generator without completing the task required. Leak testing. Leak testing must be carried out according to endoscope manufacturer instruction, the BSG and MDA guidelines, and your unit standard, and before each patient use of the endoscope. In theory, leak testing allows air pressure to be applied around the channels via the internal space of the sheath covering of the endoscope. This procedure gives early detection of a leaking scope. Early detection can substantially reduce the cost of any repair. You must wear your department or trust-recommended personal protective equipment to carry out this procedure. Ensure that your leak tester and the leak test connection are dry. This includes the internal part of the connection itself. Attach your leak tester to the endoscope. Inflate to pressure indicated on the leak tester or as per the manufacturer's advised level and stabilize. Then observe gauge for drop in pressure. If a sudden substantial pressure loss is observed, do not immerse in water. Discontinue the test and organize to send the endoscope for repair. If no loss of pressure is observed, immerse distal tip in water and observe for any stream of bubbles appearing. If this does happen, then remove the endoscope, dry and prepare to send it for repair. Do check the operation of control head at this time by continuing on to angulate the distal tip fully in all directions, observing for at least 10 seconds between each angulation for any air bubbles. Immerse the entire insertion tube, control head, umbilicus and light guidepost. You should then gently move the endoscope under the water to dislodge any surface air and again observe for any air bubbles rising. The complete leak test, immersion and observation procedure should take 2 to 3 minutes. You must be very careful not to immerse the leak tester. When you are happy that the leak test is complete and successful, remove the endoscope from the water. You will then deflate the air from the leak tester. Warning: you must never deflate your leak tester while your endoscope is still immersed. Leave leak tester attached to the endoscope for at least 30 seconds, remembering that the longer the endoscope is in length, the longer it may take for the air to be completely removed. By ensuring complete removal of residual air, it reduces the likelihood of your distal tip getting the famous sausage syndrome. Finally, detach the leak tester from the endoscope. If during the leak test air bubbles are observed, remove the endoscope immediately and send for repair, and the necessary decontamination form should be completed and enclosed with the leaking endoscope. You are now ready to perform your documented manual cleaning procedure. The safer. All endoscopes must be connected according to the color-coded connections. For full, concise information relating to the connections, you should always refer to Section 4 in your Safer User Manual. This subject will also have been covered extensively in your in-service training and the company residential training course. Your departmental cascade trainer will be able to give you assistance and guidance in relation to the safe, effective operation of the safer. Any port that is not needed for flowing your endoscope must have a blank bulkhead and tube inserted before the cycle, or the cycle will alarm and abort. The air-water channel should be connected to the blue bulkhead and connected with the blue tubing. When flowing any additional channel, for example an elevator, jet or lens channel, then the brown bulkhead and brown tubing should be used. If your air channel does need to be flowed, the yellow bulkhead and yellow tubing should be used. Any additional channel, for example an auxiliary water channel, should be connected to the purple bulkhead and purple tubing. The biopsy working channel should be connected using the green bulkhead and the green tubing. Your suction channel should be connected using the red bulkhead and the red tubing. Starting a cycle. Place the SSS sachet in the compartment. Put the endoscope into chamber and connect all channels and leak tester. Input your user PIN number, press Enter. Enter the instrument ID number, press Enter. Confirm that detergent has been added, press Enter. Be aware, door closing. It is very important that the washer disinfector is cleaned and dried at the end of each day, and at any time that the top surface becomes wet through normal use. If regular good cleaning and housekeeping is not carried out, the machine will start to visually look unsightly and could be a possible source of cross-contamination within your department. There are some assistance points that we can recommend. 1. When using Sterilox, wear appropriate PPE relevant for good practice as set out in your department guidelines. 2. Wash the grill and accessory dish at the bottom of the reprocessing tank and remove to dry. Do not put it back in place until the rest of the chamber has been cleaned and dried. 3. Dry and check the connectors. Check that there are no holes or fold marks. Lubricate the gasket on the leak test connector with silicone oil. 4. Dry the inside and outside of the processing chamber, lid and particularly around fluid entry bulkheads. 5. Apply 70% alcohol or wipe with pre-moist alcohol wipe to all surfaces, including fluid entry bulkheads, and dry any residual alcohol. 6. There is a stainless steel cleaning product available from Pesket Solutions called Facts that can be integrated into your cleaning regime to remove any staining that occurs. If this product is used on a regular basis, you may find that a build-up of staining is prevented. Safer rinse water sampling instructions. Open the lid of the safer using your individual PIN number. Then place the container ring holder into leak tester port. You should then connect the linking injectors to the safer connection bulkheads, ensuring that the blue connectors are attached to the bulkhead connectors, one to each section of bulkheads. An assistant must help you to open the container pouch in order to maintain asepsis. Wearing sterile gloves, open container, put lid into chamber and attach container to tubing cap that is already attached to the bulkheads. Make sure the single air tube is correctly positioned, directed upward. The end of the tube inside the container should be in line with the edge of lid. This position will allow controlled filling of the bottle with water for the laboratory analysis. Place the assembled container into the ring holder in the leak tester port. Move clamp to hold container securely. Attach the blank port connectors to all unused ports. Do not add SSS. Close the lid by entering your PIN number, user code, and an endoscope code to carry out full wash and disinfect cycle. Do confirm SSS added, but do not add. Then simply start the cycle. When the machine indicates that the cycle is finished, open the lid using your individual PIN number. Next, put on sterile gloves and disconnect the coloured tubing connectors from the bulkhead. Open the container, ready to add neutralizer. The sample requires a dose of sodium thiosulfate to be added as a neutralizer in order to prevent the action of any Sterilox traces in the solution that could limit microorganism detection. Add 1 ampule per 250 milliliter sample. An assistant must help you to open ampule pouch in order to maintain asepsis. Add the ampule of sodium thiosulfate. To make the bottle watertight, seal with cap from chamber. Strict aseptic conditions should be maintained when replacing cap. Finally, you should remove the ring holder from leak tester port and dry. Linking connection tubing should be dried internally and externally and stored in a clinically clean environment before next sampling and reuse. Before next use, the tubing cap should be decontaminated. All tubing should be flowed in a separate cycle prior to rinse water sample being taken. When all 10 specimen tubs have been used, the contoured tubing connector cap should be discarded and replaced with same from next pack of 10 supplies. The sample collected is approximately 250 milliliters. Send the sample bottle as soon as possible and within a maximum time of 4 hours to the laboratory after labeling with the date, time of sample, identification of sample type, and safer machine identity. Meanwhile, store it at 4 degrees centigrade. The rinse water sampling kits can be purchased through the Sterilox office and contain contents for 10 samples. Container rings are supplied free of charge with each safer sold, but replacement rings can be purchased. Pack contents: 10 sterile pouches with ampules of sodium thiosulfate, 1 contoured tubing connector cap, 10 sterile specimen tubs and lids, laboratory labels.